The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It is yet another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, without taking much of your time, the big issue of the day is 2023 campaigns as INEC moves against states that are stifling opposition. And as usual, I'm your regular host, John Jagba is my name. And of course, with me here in the studio, our in-house analysts, very vibrant ones. We have Chubuzo Kaibe and Sunday is who is here. Well, state governments, let's say some state governments, have started a new trend in which, in a bid to muzzle electioneering activities of opposition political parties and their candidates in their state, have formed the habit of blocking them from using state-owned facilities and even billboards in their campaigns. And this has drawn the eye of the electoral umpire INEC, which has vowed to penalize those states that are engaged in such acts. Specifically, INEC said it is ready to penalize states in which such incidents are recorded. According to INEC, all parties participating in the 2023 general elections are free to campaign in all the 36 states of the Federation. This, according to the Commission, is in line with the timetable and schedule of activities for the 2023 general polls. The Commission warns state governments not to prevent other political parties from campaigning in their domains. Well, so this is already there in the public domain, the news of this situation, and what we are going to do here is to look at some of the factors that may lead to this situation where state governments decide to turn the electoral process into animal farm, where some animals are more important than others. I don't think in other countries, especially in developed countries, this kind of trend exists. Why is Nigeria beginning to adopt this habit? It smacks of desperation, in a sense that I'm not sure that put someone in your manifesto that you can sell in the public, and then choose you as the popular choice. What is the need? Going after opposition, frustrating their own activities. Does that even go a long way to help in depopularizing those opposition parties and make you the incumbent government more popular to still win?
We are trying to speak to the need for political actors to be much more, to adhere more to their moral side. That's what you are trying to, that they should see the reason why they should play, to the rules and play fair. I think that is what this whole thing is about. I always make reference to a political culture, as it were, at the moment, in a system where you have a governor. So I'm looking at the state level, where you have a governor that is that carries himself like a monarch, more or less, almost unquestionable, like an absolute monarch. Let me use that word. Then these are the manifestations that are likely going to see, such that the normal or the necessary checks and balances that ought to be to check some of these excesses are almost non-existent in states. We talk of the judiciary, we talk of the state assemblies. They are just rubber stamps, clear rubber stamps. And so it encourages even the most civil of governors to once in a while play out these tendencies, particularly when they become desperate to either, retain control or to foist the person of their choice in any election. So I think it's this whole thing is much rooted in our political evolution at the moment. We need to get other institutions to be a lot more independent. For instance, if we have a much more independent state assembly, then I'm sure they'll be able to check some of these things because they'll be bold enough to call out some of these things. If you have a much more independent judiciary, they might be able to do, people will be able to have the confidence of going to court and having, clear judgments that will not be overlooked by the executive. So I think at the heart of all this is what it is. What we are seeing, are just the manifestation. And the funny thing is that these governors know, some of them know, but even though they might not play out what they say they will do, for instance, uh, stopping people from doing what they want to do, but the mere fact that they put it out there sends a signal that might force other parties to shrink in. You understand? It's just like when a traditional ruler threatened that they're going to run a certain set of people into the garbage if they don't vote a certain way. Of course, he didn't pull it off eventually, at least at the from what we could see. But the fact that he put out that statement alone, it sent a shockwave. And for fear of your life, most people would want to rather stay back and not want to dare it. So it could be the same mind game that these governors, do. They put out a comment to really scare people away, just like someone else said something about body bags in 2019. The ripple effects of that. So I think these are things that over time we should begin, or not necessarily over time, we should begin to pay much more attention to this because it will help, ensure for a freer and fairer process. It's good the INEC has spoken up against it. Well, INEC, what can INEC do beyond, you know, speaking up and challenging people to? I saw the comments of the INEC trying to speak tough and all of that, but well, they've spoken tough on issues like this in the past, and it will seem as if nothing, came out of it. But at least it's good they speak up and be quiet about it.
Well, INEC is actually trying as much as possible to really show the public that it is indeed an unbiased electoral umpire. But you spoke of the the state assemblies and the rest. I think we had very strong, decisive institutions of government. This would happen. But how would you have a state assembly that is independent when all of them are rubber stamp of the executive in their states? The governors have them at his beck and call. So that at the end of the day, you see in most states, according to the reports on leadership newspaper today, we have a state where they went, marked the building of an opposition party and said that anytime there is an event there, the party causes a gridlock along the route because of the crowd. But ironically, the governors allow billboards, posters, and party offices of candidates of their parties in the same locations where they are pursuing the opposition. And then when you look at the state assemblies, who are majority of them, if not all of them, are members of the governing party. So that is where at the end of the day, you cannot expect that the state members of the state assembly will want to move against such act. Because at the end of the day, whatever the governor is doing or the state government is doing is in their own favor because them too as state lawmakers are looking for election. That means we hold that in the state assembly. How do you think this issue can be addressed beyond what INEC is saying? Because we know very well that the electoral empire is just always is saying it. But to execute its threat is where the problem lies.
Well, I think there is nothing that can be done about it because one, we don't have strong institutions, and all these state governors is something they have been doing before, and I'm afraid even the INEC, just like Chibuzo have said, cannot do anything about it because to even get um, the statement of campaign funding of politicians and their political parties, we have not gotten that report. And I keep crying that APC and PDP are yet to even bring their report of the 2019 election spending. So this is an institution that will just keep crying without nothing being done about it. You know, the state governors, they know what they are doing, and honestly, is part of it, is part of the game of the survival of the fittest. Yes, you just use anything within your power,
Including brute force.
yes, at your advantage. And the governors they have studied the law, and they know the limitation of the law, and they know how to apply it. Because now, for example, why wouldn't they stifle opposition when they take control of the state? They can decide that this property, the owner have not paid ground rent. So you have to pay ground rent.
Ground rent.
Yes, or they will say that no, this office, this political party is not sitting in a good position. So you have to do something about it. So all these things, the governors, they know that nothing can be done about it. It's just for us to have strong institutions where, if we have, just like Jules have said, if we have state assembly that can bite, if we have local government autonomy, a local government chairman can say, no, this is my territory. I am in charge.
And a judiciary that is independent financially.
Yes, of all this. So the truth is that there is nothing. The opposition can just keep crying, begging the people to see the need to vote and protect their vote.
Well, thank you very much, Isua. Well, we are going to take a short break, and as we do so, we hope that our viewers will actually contribute constructively to the conversation on the big issue, which has to do with free and fair elections, as the 2023 general election inches closer by the day. Don't go offline, we'll be back in a moment.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We are still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day borders on the muzzling of opposition in states by state governments in the 2023 electioneering process. And of course, while we all know that this is undemocratic and against the rule of play, it is even very alarming that major political parties, to be specific, the All Progressive Congress and the PDP, are muzzling themselves too. For instance, in Bauchi State, after the Bauchi state government had allegedly denied the opposition APC and this candidate the use of public fields, the party directed all candidates to use neutral venues for their activities. As the APC had to say, okay, please, since it's like this, you can just go to any place. If you see football field where children just go and sit there and do your thing so that we will avoid this trouble. But you know, where it becomes very disturbing is that if political parties, especially the major ones like the APC and the PDP that are supposed to be pace setters, are the ones doing this. For instance, we go to Anambra State, we could see Abga doing that. We know, oh, no, these are not coming party. And of course, as small as it is, it tries as much as possible to protect its territory. Parties that have been there will still turn around and be attacking themselves, doing all sorts of things to outsmart themselves. Chibuzo, what happened to issue-based campaign? For instance, you see, yesterday Atiku was in Akwa Ibom campaign. After that, Festus Keyamo, the spokesman of the APC campaign team, issued a statement. What he said there was quite different. Instead of taking Atiku on point of what he said in terms of his policy trust and everything he said, he was very busy attacking the party of what happened 16 years ago. And then we have the presidential candidate of the APC himself, who instead of telling Nigerians what he would do yesterday at the flag off of the women campaign wing of the APC, he was there calling PDP party of termites. At the end of the day, nothing has changed. Well, we are still seeing the same trend.
We've been saying this here for you almost sounding like a broken record now on the need for these candidates to interrogate the real problems, the real problems of what they tend to do with education, security, healthcare, and all of the problems that we have, manifest problems that we have. It's not even telling us what they want to do, but how they want to do it. Because we all know what the problems are. We had expected by now that we'll be having, maybe when we get to the debate stage where all of the aspirants, all the candidates file out, maybe, and it's a big maybe, we'll get to really interrogate their thinking process as to what these problems are and how they intend to solve them. Not just, tell us what the problems are, because we already know what those problems are. But until then, what we'll be having is just, the usual talk of, oh, you destroyed Nigeria 16 years ago. No, I didn't destroy Nigeria. In our time, nobody ate, no animals ate things. Animals didn't eat money. Those are the kind of things I'm going to hear.
Is that dragging animal?
Monkeys didn't eat money.
Dragging animal into politics.
Snakes didn't swallow money.
And at the end of the day,
your people embezzled so amount of money. Those kind of funny things. That is what we are going to hear between now and the elections. And it's worrisome. It's really worrisome. But that is the reality on the ground. So, and again, we can only wish hope that everybody, the candidates, will begin to speak for themselves. Because that is the problem we are having. We are having too many spokespersons declaring what the candidates themselves should be saying. And I make this reference to what we see in the US. We always use the US as our mirror because we have a similar kind of democratic structure as they do.
So you mean you don't want jobs to be given to professional journalists?
I'm not saying, well, you could give jobs to professional journalists, but we need the candidates to commit to the things they say.
Yes,
we need them. We need them. We need them to
not be everywhere.
Who is actually giving job to professional journalists in Nigeria? The Minister of State for Labor and Productivity, Festus Keyamo, is a lawyer, a senior advocate of Nigeria who has never done anything media. But at the end of the day, he is a spokesman. So
in fact, you can see how complicated the situation is.
And then, sorry to cut you, Chibuzo. Imagine, see what Keyamo was doing. Instead of him to attack Atiku based on the promises he made and tell Nigerians that no, that is bad policy, that won't work, What Keyamo ended up doing was that Keyamo said they should call the PDP out for what he described as their spurious promises, as well as obnoxious behaviors of their national chairman, their national chairman, that is Kayamon's problem. He said the launch of the PDP campaign was an unexpected disaster because, according to him, what did he even say? For example, if not for the loss of the sense of shame, what else could have goaded PDP's now discredited seat-tight national chairman Iyachayo to be audacious enough to stand on the podium today in Uyo and make any promise to Nigeria? Is it not supposed to be the bad PDP members that should be asking this question?
No,
Because
he
in
is
that light,
he is a party to the election. So whatever that will discredit his opponent, he will say it out. And honestly, I don't see it as something that is wrong because he wants sympathy for his political party. So if in a political party you cannot keep promises, then you have a problem, you know. So I don't really see that what Kiamo said was wrong. I didn't see that as a wrong thing because it's exactly what Wike have been saying. Wike said that Ayu said if the PDP candidate comes from the north, he will step aside. And so
No. Let's put it in context because that has been an issue of debate now.
All right.
It was a conditional statement he made.
Okay.
In fairness to Ayu, he said if he said if the party says I should step.
Who is the party?
Now, good.
Yes.
The party is the NEC or the National Convention.
Yes.
Because those are the two ranking bodies of the party. Those are the two major decision-making bodies of the party.
Decision-making body.
So as we speak, the irony is that the NEC passed the vote of confidence. Is it or not in him now? I don't know which on him. Passed the confidence in him. If the NEC has done that, it means the party has spoken. You know, so the party wants him to stay on as chairman. However, it doesn't remove what Wike and Co are calling for. You understand? For him to step aside and allow, you know, a party chairman from the south to emerge. It doesn't invalidate that agitation. But the party has spoken and they said, you should continue as chairman. So that's the thing. You know, perhaps if Wike and Co were at the NEC meeting, they probably wouldn't have passed that resolution. But they were absent. They were absent from the meeting. They were absent from caucus. They were absent from NEC. And NEC took a decision. Who do you blame?
And so, how I see this is that there is no trust in the PDP because now the calculation from some people, especially those in the Wike camp, is that what if we do not win the presidential election? So the southern part of the country is cut off. Yes. Okay. From this. So I think what Kiamo was saying is to remind them that look, this is what you need to do. And honestly, if you are a party leader who wants success in your party, you should not sit tight on a political party that is going into an election. Because if you say, okay, as a chairman, I am the chairman, and so Wike and his camp should go to hell, you see, you are going into the election as a divided house. And already your opponent is already pointing an accusing finger on you and getting sympathy from other Nigerians.
Okay, but wait, why that your opponent, your major opponent now in this case, the APC, is not pointing those flaws and attracting, currying this sympathy or favors from Nigeria who will not agree with them that that party is not capable of leading Nigeria. But at the end of the day, what you forget is that our worry here is that what we're even saying here is that they have forsaken the issue-based campaigns and they are not talking of internal wranglings within their party, and that is what we are going. Is it what Nigerians
the internal wrangling is not issue? It's an issue.
Now
so it's an issue.
When in the case where you have a kettle calling pot black, see APC talking about the PDP, what of its own internal wrangling? Where at the end of the day,
the PDP have the facts.
No, it's not about that they have the
they
facts.
should not go ahead and
Over
talk.
the week,
But you will definitely hear them because
over the weekend.
Dino Melaya said the same thing.
Not just Dino Melaya.
On the
Even
big
the
issues
party
that is
itself,
what will carry into the election.
even the party itself also made such allusion that Tinubu is not a candidate as far as they are concerned. That the Buni arrangement that produced the framework upon which the Adamu-led NWC is standing is flawed. And so it translates to the non-existence of all of the arrangement there. No. It is the argument.
Well, but
it is their own argument.
I don't
But
think that
whether
argument
it
is valid.
that's the thing. Whether or not it is right
Yes.
or wrong is a function of putting out a narrative,
Yes.
which is a political
Because
thing. Just like as Keyamo is also doing now. So our concern, like you did point out, is that it's unfortunate that these two parties have failed to put their house in order, and it plays to the rascality. We call it rascality now. I don't know whether that's an appropriate word to use. The lack of ability for party leaders to give and take within their party framework, so that these frictions wouldn't distract from what they should be telling Nigerians they intend to do. That is where our problem
That is what Nigerians are interested in.
Because you can't say these issues that are coming up are not issues in the real sense.
Yes.
They are political issues. If you don't get your politics together, it's definitely going to affect what you intend to do. And that's where the problem is. So their failure to fix their house so that they can come out and tell Nigerians that, okay, for education, we want to allocate this amount of money, this amount of resources to education to solve the ASU strike,
We're going to
solve
do this.
and to re-engineer our educational
See
system.
what was not done in the past. See how we're going to do
This
it
is what we intend
differently.
to do differently. This is how then each other party should be able to say no. We have a different idea on how to go about this. We want to cut education. We want to cut cost on healthcare and push some this way, or cut on this and push. This is how we want to block wastages.
Yeah.
They should not be talking about you said you are going to resign.
Yeah.
You didn't resign. Termite stole money. Termite didn't steal money. No. Why are you telling us clearly what they
How
intend to
does
do?
this relate to what we are talking of modeling of the opposition in the state? We are trying to say that it still amounts to the lack of ideas, ideologies, policies to actually sell themselves to Nigeria. That is why a state government will want to muzzle the opposition, because at the end of the day, they think by doing that. But at the same time, let's come back to the main issue of the day, which is about the idea of frustrating the activities, political activities of the opposition ahead of the elections. INEC has come out to say it is going to sanction, it will penalize. So how do you think INEC can do this? Number one, INEC does not even have any enforcement. It does not even have the police at its beck and call, because after making all the, it will have to fall back to the federal government to actually provide the enforcement of the law. And who is federal government? Federal government is a government in place that came on the platform of a political party. And if the federal government discovers that what is happening in the state is favoring its own party as a state government, you think they will allow it to be enforced?
That was why I talk about issue of
And then the CSO, these are things they should speak.
strong institutions. The CSOs have spoken about this, and I've talked to TMG, Transparency International, CISLA, CDD, Yaga Africa, and a lot of them. Now, even the CSOs that you are talking about, politicians are still attacking them. Now, I can cite an example of a report CDD released concerning the 2023 general election. Now, when they released that report, somebody now went and wrote an article attacking CDD's report, that they are invariably working for INEC. So you see, they are now pushing a civil society organization, to the bad light, and they have forced their director, Hidayat Hassan, to issue a statement today saying that they are neutral in the election. They are a neutral party. And so these politicians, as you see them, either in the state or at the federal level, they will always do something that favors them. Now, with that article they released, if CDD is not strong enough, people will begin to see them as a government agency, which they are not. And it is bad. Yes. And so politicians, they will just make statements, just like Chibuzo have said. They are making statements to scare opposition to scare people of goodwill, to scare people to participate in the process. In fact, they will even tell you that the election in this local government, we have already won. Yes, they will tell you that because they don't want people to go out and vote. And if people do not go out to vote, then they have the day. So you won't take that away from them because it's part of the strategy, it's part of the campaign. But all the what the opposition should do is to keep mobilizing the people, to keep speaking issue-based campaign to the people, so that because if you are stifling or you are muzzling the opposition, the people, which is the voters, they will know, and they will know that this is your interest, this is the other person's interest. So they will go for the right person. So I think the opposition, they should work hard. That's why they are called opposition. So they should keep pushing. If you are an opposition, you have to keep pushing, because somebody who have all the powers within his territory will not allow you to come and just take something with a platter of gold. So you have to work hard. Make sure you work with the civil society organizations, you work with the international agencies, you work with the government agencies, and ensure that transparency is ensured in the process. So don't look down on yourself. Just keep pushing and ensure that you participate in the process.
Yes, thank you very much, Suwa. I think Suwa has a valid point here. What he's saying is that beyond the threats by INEC to wield a big stick, I think the ball is in the courts of the electorate to actually go for their choice despite what they see. And whenever they see this, what should readily come to their mind should be that the government in power has nothing to tell them they will offer. And that is why they have now resorted to brute force by muzzling the opposition. And I think the electorate actually have a role to play here. You say, oh, you want to fall? Okay, well, let's meet at the ballot, at the ballot. That is when we will not decide. But for you, you have shown us that you don't have anything in the head. That is why you are now you are resorting to what in the local parlance we call afternoon open eye. You understand? Well, for want of time, I think this is where we'll draw the curtain for the big issue of the day. And of course, I thank you for keeping tab with us out there. And of course, I thank Ahina's analyst too for addressing the big issue. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of this program. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.